Welcome to the Biz Gone Social Podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are on the Biz Gone Social Podcast, and I'm really so glad to be here. And my promise to you, as always, is I want to give you a little bit of verbal caffeine that's going to energize your business and your marketing and also help you stay social. Because after all, don't you want to be the business that everyone's talking about? I know I do. And I am so stoked to have with me Gerard Longo. Welcome, Gerard.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So tell me a little bit about what you do, because you're different than most of the people I usually have on the show, but I'm really excited about it because I think that you can add a lot of value to my audience.
Sure. I'll try to keep it as concise as possible because there are a lot of moving parts. So I'm the founder and CEO of Underground Music Collective. We are a Nashville-based digital music resource and multimedia services company. Part of what we do is on the publication end, giving artists reviews, features, interviews. I have my own podcast called The Quinn Spin, 2 N's and Quinn, 2 N's and Spin, where we interview a lot of folks and take a deep dive, not only into their art and their processes, but what makes them and what makes them tick. And that was actually the whole point of singularity of the whole UMC ecosystem. It started with the podcast and has expanded out from there. Part of what we do also with UMC is we educate artists, and we feature educational content every Wednesday as part of our Wednesday Wisdom series from industry professionals of varying disciplines. We have hosted a series of virtual panels as well, just highlighting different segments of the industry, the challenges they face, the way they've overcome those challenges, the lessons learned. And we launched a creative agency recently called the Creative Agency at UMC. We have a team of UMC verified creators who can help you with your needs in the areas of photography, videography, graphic design, web design. We even have a couple music instructors. I'm an artist coach. I'm part of the agency as well. If you're looking for coaching, we have a whole methodology that will help you not only get in line with your values, mission, and vision, but then will help you set goals to actually bring that vision to fruition. So there's a lot going on, and even some other things I haven't mentioned, but those are the big ones. And yeah, it's just a really exciting time for us.
Well, what led you down this path? I mean, it's, did you just wake up one day and I'm going to do this, or how did you get to where you are now?
Kind of. It's interesting because it was 2013. I was working in New York City. I had a big boy job doing internal communications in what was known at the time as the IBM Design Lab. And it was a cool job. Don't get me wrong. It was my introduction to the world of marketing and communications. My original background was journalism. I graduated with a BA in English, and the IBM job kind of helped me start to fuse those two things together. But at the same time, I was looking for a creative outlet, something that I could make my own, right? And so I had a weekend free in August of 2013, which was a rarity at that point because I'm living in northern New Jersey, commuting to New York multiple times a week. My girlfriend at the time lives right outside of Philly. So I'm I never have time to myself, right? And I'm just I need something. I'm getting itchy. I need this outlet. And I had a weekend to myself. My girlfriend had a baby shower or wedding shower, something, some kind of shower I wasn't invited to. And I just decided to dig into some old creative projects, one of which being my old college radio show, which was also called The Quinn Spin. I used a pseudonym, just for, stage effect, I guess. And I was listening, and I was doing this to wind down for the night, but really it ended up winding me up. I got this supercharge of purpose. I remembered that we'd have people there every week listening, tuning in, giving us content, giving us feedback for the show. And I remembered what it felt like to really have an impact on even that small segment of people. And I just decided that night, I want to have an impact. I want to do something that impacts people. And so we launched the podcast. A few weeks later, I published episode 1 on September 8th. So that 10-year anniversary is coming up. And then recruited a bunch of my friends in community theater compatriots to co-host with me, to come on as recurring characters. And we had a good couple-year run up there in Jersey. And then we all started kind of going in different directions in life. I actually ended up going back out to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, where I'd gone to college. And there's a music scene. It's about an hour north of Philly. And I started thinking what do I want to do with the show? Well, I want it to be a part of something larger. And I'm looking around, just getting to know people, getting to know the landscape. I'm like, well, I could review new releases as they come out. I could go to shows and take photos, learn how to use this camera I've had for years, right? And so a blog emerged out of it called Lehigh Valley Underground, because it was the region of Pennsylvania covering the underground scene. And so 2016, that launched, 2016, 17, most of 2018, we're in the Lehigh Valley, and we're really gaining traction. We're building community, we're putting on events, we're partnering with local organizations. Like, there's a lot going on in our world, but in the process of that, I'm starting to realize what I don't know, and life, has, given me some events to kind of redirect my compass a little bit all the while, throughout this process. And I'm just thinking, I need to go to a music market. I need to go somewhere that's going to give me the knowledge so I can build this out and build these pipelines, back to any community, bring it all together and give people some real opportunities rooted in industry knowledge. And so I was thinking New York, because it seemed like the obvious choice. It was the closest music market, of the major ones to me in proximity. But then I had a couple friends who already lived in Nashville starting to sell me on Nashville. And it just started making a whole lot of sense. And within a couple months, I was here, and we had rebranded from Lehigh Valley Underground to Underground Music Collective. That was November of 2018. And nearly 5 years later, we've been here ever since.
Now, is there a certain music genre you work with, or all different types of musicians?
All different kinds. I'm a firm believer in the philosophy of the rising tide raises all boats, and that really informs a lot of what we do at Underground Music Collective. And I personally, my personal taste, I like stuff from every genre. I'm not that picky. I always say, kind of tongue in cheek, I like music that sounds like the person making it actually tried. And it doesn't matter the genre to me. And everything's art, and everyone's trying to build a platform from zero. And our community exists to elevate those people, right? If you're doing good work for the right reasons, then we want you in our community. We want you as part of our collective, right? So, we, of course, rock, country, singer-songwriter type of stuff, of course, being here in Nashville, but also like Nashville has a big R&B and hip hop and soul community, a big pop scene. And not only here, but everywhere else, in these other markets, we're getting submissions from artists all over the country, all over the world. And it's really interesting to see. Something that's really struck me throughout the course of these 10 years is there's any genre of music you could possibly want to listen to being created. You might not hear it on the radio. You might not hear it in the top 40. It might not be what gets pushed, right? But it's still being made, and there's still a lot of love and care and like purpose being put into it. And so we want to highlight that purpose. And to us, genre doesn't matter. It's what's behind it that counts.
Nice. Now, is there like one project that you've worked on where it like was your favorite project that you ever worked on?
Oh, wow. Let's see. That's a good question because there are so many things. The one I keep coming back to because I'm getting all nostalgic because, we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of the Quinn Spin, is back in 2014. Like, it was maybe 6 months after we launched, 6 to 8 months after we launched the show. We tried doing a big American Cancer Society benefit up at this beautiful lakefront venue up in Jefferson, New Jersey. We called it Entertainment for a Cure. We had 6 bands from around the tri-state. There was a film screening, and it was an amazing event. It ran so well. But because nobody really knew who we were yet, and we had no PR, we had nothing, like, there were more volunteers and band members there than actual paying patrons, right? And it was really our first dive into trying to do something of that magnitude. And we learned so much from that experience, whether it was the production of the event itself or going out on foot, trying to find sponsors and like giveaway donations and that kind of thing. Like, when we launched the show, none of us really knew what we were doing. We were just trying a thing. We were just a bunch of underemployed, community theater kids trying to find our way in the world, right? And it was just one of those things where it really brought us together and taught us so much. And I look at that time now as something that, like, it was our first real test as a platform. And not everything went the way we planned, but at the same time, we didn't know what to expect. And it's funny to look back at that now, with like just looking at how innocent, quote unquote, we all were, looking at how like naive we all were. Like, we're going to throw a concert. If you build it, they will come, and not that many people came, but it was still a great time. The event was fantastic, and everybody pitched in to make it something memorable.
What is an exciting project you're working on now?
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like those formative like experiences led to everything we're working on now. Like, it taught us everything we needed to know by teaching us some lessons. So now, like, when we throw an event, we know the components that need to go into it to make it successful, right? We have an entire event series under our Nash Live brand where we're putting shows on around town, mostly independent artists. Once in a while, we'll do something larger scale at a larger venue as well, and bring in, all the bells and whistles. One example of that is in 2021, we did this Halloween event called the Dark Masquerade. And it was live music, but also we had like a costume contest. We had drag performers. We had like all these things going into the pot. And it was this really special event. And we're actually looking at bringing that back here in 2023 in October, Halloween weekend. Details are coming on that soon. Anything that brings community together, anything that grows our community, and again, has that essence of the rising tide raises all boats, is something I get really excited about. I feel the creative agency does that as well, because not only does it serve musicians, but it also helps to get some of these other creatives who are adjacent to the industry some work and some additional clients, and everybody gets boosted through the platform. Every project that's going to be created through the platform will be highlighted through our platform on the blog side. So really, it's about building community, and those formative experiences of doing that or trying to do that, have lit the way for us here in year 10.
What would you say would be like something that's trending right now in the music industry?
Well, there's a big focus on AI right now, and what AI does, and is it good? Is it bad? Is it here to destroy us all? Is it here to kill creativity? Here's my take on AI, right? There are administrative functions that if you use AI correctly, that you won't have to perform, so you can focus on being creative, so you can focus on creating your art. Yeah, we're still figuring all of this out, right? Like, and you're hearing stories about people creating like this deep fake content of like songs by artists, but AI created it. It's not actually Drake or whoever, right? And yeah, that's a slippery slope, and definitely something, that's above my pay grade as far as like the copyright and trademark world, like intellectual property. Like, that's definitely something that's going to have to be navigated within the industry. And I know a lot of the major companies are starting to battle against that type of thing and find a better way to make sure that the intellectual property and the likenesses of their artists are protected. But on the other side, there's always this conversation of, okay, what can this new technology do for us, right? I mean, it was the same thing with social media. It's the same thing with streaming. Like, you can look at it as a bad thing that's going to, quote, kill the industry as we know it, or you can learn how to use it to aid your efforts. I think about streaming, for example. Like, a lot of people have lamented over the years that streaming has killed the music sales industry. And, while sales may generally be down across the board because everything's more on demand, what you can do is you can use those streaming platforms as a marketing platform, as an overall part of your digital ecosystem to bring people into your music, bring people into your brand. As a musician, a creative, as an artist, you should also be thinking as a business person. And every single tool that's out there for us is available to us, and it's up to us to interpret those tools and learn how to use them properly to help us. So I think, I used AI as an example. I use streaming as an example, social media. All of these things are here to help you, right? All of these things are here to help you build your platform if you're willing to let them help you. So that's one thing I would say, is definitely focus on what the tools can do for you. And I'm sure that all the negatives are going to get sorted out and adjusted over time, right? I mean, there are pros and cons to everything, but really your job as an artist, as an entrepreneur, because you're both, is to figure out how to move things forward, how to push your platform forward and bring more people in.
Yeah, I love the fact that, see, when you're a musician, for instance, you want to just work on your craft and you want to do what you're passionate about. And I love the part where you have somebody that comes alongside of you and helps you with the business part of it, because most musicians really are not business people, nor are they good business people. They have to learn it over the years. So I love that you do that. And one of the things that I would love you to share with my audience today would be like, what are some tips for people out there that are in the music industry, for instance, or even that could be just brought out in all areas, different professions and stuff like that, that, you know, will help someone probably not burn out, you know, and help them thrive? Because that's one of the things, you know, it's like, I know as a business owner, sometimes it's like I'm on the verge of burnout. So maybe you could share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because I have an answer for you right off the bat, and it's know why you're doing it in the first place, and don't lose that. I think in the industry, you know, especially when people are starting out, you know, it's just this idea of, well, I want to get big, I want to be famous, I want to get rich, I want to, you know, I want to be where Drake is, I want to be where Taylor Swift is. Why do you want to get that big? What are you going to do with that platform? Because I'll tell you what, this is not an easy journey, you know, by any means. And I always say, anyone who tells you otherwise is either naive because they haven't been on it long enough, or they're trying to sell you something. It's not an easy journey, and you're going to hit those stumbling blocks. You're going to hit these moments where the world feels like it's crashing down around you. You're going to hit plenty of good moments too. You're going to have plenty of triumphs, but you're also going to have plenty of struggles. You're building a platform from zero. And in those moments of struggle, you need to dig deep, and you need to have your purpose defined. And that's why when I take on coaching clients through our UMC coaching program, we start with not mission and vision even, but with values. What are your values? What is at your core that drives you forward, that makes you want to create what you're creating? And then from there, we define the mission. Okay, so how do those values inform what you've been put on earth to do? And the vision, which is how does that exist in the world? What does it look like, sound like, feel like, taste like, you know? So that's very important to define right off the bat, because as you go from there, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to set goals that are in line with those things. It's going to make it a lot easier for you to stay accountable to those goals. You're going to feel more inspiration and motivation to do so, but you have to know why you're doing it. If you don't know why you're doing it and your reason is, oh, I just want to get big, big doesn't fulfill the soul. You know, I mean, how many stories have you heard about people who have everything and they're miserable, right? So there's nothing wrong with wanting to succeed at the highest levels, but you have to have a purpose behind it. You have to have a greater mission that's bigger than you.
I love that. I think it's so important. Sometimes we lose, you know, we don't always keep track of our, you know, why. And I think that was really important that you said that. There's probably a lot of people on the line that may have resonated with you, and there may be some dabblers out there in music, or there may be some really great people out there that are listening today. So how would they get in touch with you, and, you know, a first touch or however?
If you go to undergroundmusiccollective.com, that's our central hub. You'll find everything there. You go to the website and you'll see two tiles. The left side is the blog. That's what brought us to the dance. All your daily review and feature content. The podcast goes there. Our weekly UMC 20 playlist goes there. On the right, you'll see the creative agency. You'll see who you can work with through us. And again, you know, if you book through us, once the project's completed, we highlight it. So we give you a little extra marketing boost through our platform. So go to the website, undergroundmusiccollective.com. If you want to follow us on the socials, at UMC Nashville, we'll take you to UMC. The central account, also Quinn Spin Official, 2 N's and Quinn, 2 N's and Spin for podcast related things, at Nash Live Shows for our local events here. And if you want to follow me, at Gerard Longo 12, it's a lot of UMC stuff, but also fitness, family, and the occasional travel whenever I actually leave town.
Okay, that's great. And I want to thank you for being a guest. And to everyone out there, I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Biz Gone Social podcast. Find us on Instagram at Biz Gone Social for extra tips. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, stay social.